one presenter, so thanks, it worked out well. The accidents, the traffic, the late, whatever, so we just roll with things. I'm Chris, as most people know, the lead organizer for 1 Million Cups, and we're gonna maybe start out by just letting you guys know that we'll do community announcements, but if you wanna maybe jot it down, we might flip-flop and maybe start with community announcements, because some people have to leave early, and then they miss it if we hold it to the end. So we've had some requests, hey, can you just do that? Or if you do come up and make a community announcement, jot down something, your email or whatever, so people can take pictures of it. I think it'll help us all to remember as we walk away. So with that, we'll start very quickly. Does anybody have any community announcements to share? I was going to say, really? Mark, okay, come on.
I hear there's a hockey team in Raleigh that's going to be playing tonight.
Maybe.
I would call that a community announcement.
Okay, yep.
I have 4 tickets available for sale if anybody wants them.
Wow. All right.
I'll take 2.
All right.
Okay.
Very good. All right. Yep.
You said yes already.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hold on. Frank's got one.
So any product managers, product marketers, product designers, Saturday, Hunt
Hey,
Library
guys,
on NC
hold on.
State's
Dave,
campus.
hold on, please. Mark, please, hold on.
The Hunt
Frank,
Library.
you'll start over, please.
Yeah, so if you're a product manager, a product marketer, or a product designer, product camp is this Saturday at the Hunt Library on NC State's campus beginning at 10 o'clock. The website productcamprtp.org. We're going to have some terrific speakers, and a local CEO of a fast-growing, well-known company will be speaking during the day. Also have some great panels. The food will be provided by Sassoon, so you know it'll be wonderful refreshments there. Hope to see you. It is free to attend, but we ask that you do a little volunteer work while you're there. Thanks.
Do we need to register?
You can register online from the site.
Okay.
Will you have mint juleps, derby?
Unfortunately, the Hunt Library will not allow those. But the first round is on Jim. Sorry.
Yeah, right, Jim will be sponsoring that part, and Whale is on it, all right. All right, anybody else? Yeah, Tricia.
Remember to join the 1 Million Cup meetup, RTP, so you'll be apprised of who's going to be speaking next, and a reminder of the meeting.
Yep. I will continue to write that, but meanwhile, we're finally get to welcome Tom. All right, Jim, come on up. Jim and Tom met through the Whale organization, and so Jim's going to give the introduction.
Hello everyone, as you know, I'm Jim Roberts. I run the Wilmington Angels for local entrepreneurs. I also run the Network for Entrepreneurs in Wilmington. I'm also a former member of the Bunker Labs staff here in the Triangle that helps veterans who want to become entrepreneurs, hire additional veterans. While Tom is not a veteran himself, 2 of his co-founders are. Tom and his company are in the Whale portfolio. We're very proud to work with Tom. This is kind of an IoT play in the organic agriculture space, and Measure.io is also a portfolio client of Techstars, which is the world's best known accelerator, and they went through the Austin, Texas process. So please welcome Tom, Rump, and Measure.io.
And especially Tom, because Tom drove down from Northern Virginia on our behalf today, so kudos, you get like extra coffee for the.
Last night, that would be an
Oh,
early
okay,
morning.
I was wondering, either way, thank you so much.
So, good morning. Tom Rump, CEO, Measure.io. Please join us in giving the earth a voice. In the schedule for the 1 Million Cups, start with the ask, and we'll finish with the ask to make sure that that's clear. What we need to grow, in the first instance, is customer prospect recommendations in 2 ways. We've become very active in the turf and golf management side of the business, because one of the things we do is we help plants live as opposed to commodity row crops where you plant and you pull them out. So we're in a longitudinal play, and then also in commercial agriculture side. There's a lot of that here. We're working with Bayer Crop Science in Cary. We have early introductions into BASF. We could use some intros into FMC as an example. Syngenta, John Deere, people who are in the commercial ag space. The second thing is we can use some help with grant writing on the contract side. A lot of the research that we're now involved in plays well to the SBIR process. We don't have that skill set as an early stage startup to have the rigor to write those grants, so we can use some help there. And then lastly, we are getting ready to open up a price round, so we're always looking for qualified investors, somewhere between what I call a seed prime, and a Series A. So, and we'll come back to that. So starting in about what we're about. Making sustainable decisions is no longer an option, it's an imperative. Our research to the right, you'll see that there are 400 billion pounds of fertilizer that are applied in agriculture worldwide every year. In terms of water used in agriculture, 70% of the world's drinkable water is used in agriculture. It's estimated that as much as half of that's wasted. And what we've opted to do here is we put this really nice picture of a location in Texas. It's really nice and green with trees. What this is a containment pond for herbicides that have runoff of the Texas farm. So this is a highly toxic scenario. That's why we believe it's no longer an option to be really concerned about sustainability. So what we're doing is we're helping the growers make sustained decisions and informed decisions in real time and within their microclimate. So that is our key focus, is to help the sustained informed decisions. You can see a specific dashboard we use in terms of what the weather status is and certain weather parameters. We would call that the climate data parameters. Now, how we go about doing this, or I would say the what, is a lot of people have historical information that they track, and they can say, here's what happened 2 years ago, 4 years ago, 6 years ago. The area where there's a lot of activity now is on the predictive side, in terms of what's going to happen. What do we think the next 7-day weather forecast will be? And the key, and one of the things that struck me recently, I was watching weather, and I don't know if WRAL does this, but it said, here's the National Weather Service forecast. It was about a month ago for snow. And it said, we're anticipating 6 inches of snow. Then they said, here's the European model for the forecast, and it's 1 inch of snow. I was like, that's not really helpful, because if you're a grower, you're getting ready to plant, 1 inch of snow, you would say, okay, I have about a week that'll run off, and then I can go. If it's 6 inches of snow, I have a whole different scenario. So where we're going to is from the predictive, and our key differentiator is the prescriptive side. Because what we're able to do with our machine learning and applied intelligence is to say, here's what you should do and when you should do it. And we think that is a very big differentiator for the marketplace. How we do it is we start in the right-hand side register. So if you are a golf course, I think the governor's golf here locally, we can then say, we'll register the location, and we pull in all the information that's available. We use 11 or 12 different weather inputs, including satellite. We can bring in the soil moisture data using in-ground devices. That's the IoT piece that Jim mentioned. We pull all that together, and then we have a model that validates and verifies everything that has been brought in. We then apply machine learning to say, that's interesting. What other models are relevant for this geography, for this soil type, for this location? And we pull all that together, and if you are the customer in our case, you'd say, hey, we recently started to fly drones. We can bring in that drone data and give you the aerial spectral view with NDVI to say, here's what's going on top down and in the ground bottom up. So to the left-hand side, the product that we have created is called the Earthstream Platform. And you can see on the bottom here, all the data that we bring in. It's in-ground, it's environmental. We can bring in operational data, what your labor usage is, what your chemical spend is, so we can bring a fulsome picture to your business. And then other good example of that is drones, because some people, there's a lot of play around with the drone information these days to say, okay, here's what's happening. Precision Hawk just announced a piece of business that way on the energy space, saying here's the drone information and how it portrays into the energy space. And then what we do is we provide this information in an easy to digest format on any device, desktop, laptop, mobile phone. What we're finding the most interest is in the app. Because people, if you were on a farm, you can pull up your app, and you can tell what your growing degree days, your evapotranspiration is at that particular time. The team, Jim mentioned Techstars. I'm the CEO. My background is in senior management roles, technology-enabled services, from Fortune 500 to early stage startup. Mike Prorock is the founder and CTO, also our resident farmer. A lot of this information is used in real time at his property. And then Amos, who is the managing director for Techstars Austin, joined our board when we finished the program last year. We're really excited to have him on. His focus is, his superpower is sales and marketing and business development. Our market sweet spot, the addressable market, we think is just shy of $2 billion. We're starting in on the turf and the golf space first, and then long term, it's really the agriculture space. I would say vegetation, specialty crops as opposed to commodity row crop. And our go-to-market strategy, we've really refined over the last 8 months. And what we're working with is straight B2B. We're working with the bears, connecting their sales and marketing team to their end users. We're right in the middle, being able to pull in all that data to support their sales effort. We have some select competitors we've identified. We're tracking them. As Bill would say, you never know where your competitors are coming from, and you're also still competing against the status quo. We've had some really great traction. We started last year with about 6 customers. We're just pushing to 20 now. We have Bayer as a client, Tennessee University, the Botanical Gardens we do work with here locally, and we have Rutgers University as an example. And in our pipeline, we're targeting really the high-end commercial enterprises. So our differentiator, again, is the prescriptive analytics. When you take a look at our dashboard, it's been designed by the end users, because if you're in the data space, you can throw a lot of data. People are like, I don't need all of that, I just need to know this. So what we're doing is using end users to say, what is the this that helps you be productive in your job? And then to wrap up, again, on the asset side, enterprise customer leads, both turf, golf, and those are at the management level. We started going golf course by golf course. That's not a viable approach. Contract grant writing, and then qualified investors.
Thank you, Tom. I think I know a solution to number 2. Ava Garland, who works next door at the First Light Venture Center, is a very good writer. Have you been in touch with her?
Yes, we met her recently at the CED conference.
Okay. Additional questions?
Tom, first, thanks for making the trip and sharing the journey that you've been on. Certainly a need. I've got a couple of questions I want to pick. So specific to your differentiator, focusing on prescriptive versus, how did you say it? Predictive. Can you share an example or two of what a prescriptive instruction to an end user would look like, sound like?
I'll give you a simple one.
Yeah.
We were working with a golf course in Montgomery County, Maryland. They have in-ground sensors. Their key business driver in the summer are 9-hole golf leagues in the evening, because you have people who are working when they go play 9 holes. The key thing for them, all their employees are hourly paid. They have to decide 2, 3, 4 in the afternoon whether they need to hand water so that the conditions are in great shape for the evening. because that's where the revenue's coming from. So today what they do, they have to decide, do they keep their team on or do they send them home, because they hand water, it's called syringing. So what Mike was able to do, Mike Foucault, not Mike Perra, was able to use our devices because the weather had changed and gotten cooler, so he didn't think he needed to irrigate. So he went and our devices were showing him on his dashboard that his soil moisture was below his threshold. So what he was able to, first of all, he's like, and we're finding this with a lot of end users, like, I'm not sure I believe that because he's been at this course for 4 years. So he went out with his TER 350, did the soil temperature, the soil moisture, right beside ours, exactly the same. And he's like, the information was right. So he kept his team on, hand watered. But what he also did is they're part of 8 other courses. So he called his colleagues and said, the weather change, you probably aren't going to irrigate, gotta take a look. So that's saying, you know, what we were able to tell him within the work is, you need to water. So that's the prescriptive section. It's a simple one. We also do it with growth regulators. This is a project we're working with BEAR. This we apply a growth regulators tied to growing degree days. That's a specific calculation. What we're able to do is to say, you applied your application anticipating that you would need to reapply in 3 weeks, which would be X growing degree days. Oh, by the way, it's warmer the past 2 weeks. Instead of 3 weeks, you really need to take a look at 2 weeks. So the prescriptive piece would say, apply now, which is very helpful because a lot of times these growth regulators have fungicide in them to prevent threats. So they would be able to knock that off. The flip side of that is if we said, hey, you were planning to do it in 2 weeks, you can wait another 10 days, then they save that application and it's as much as $2,000 to $3,000 an application. So they get an ROI for our crop, which is the use case for them.
And there was another question, Frank in the back.
Yeah, I didn't quite grasp how you guys are going to market. You said you're partnering with a payer, for example, and then they're reaching out to the end user. Can you walk us through how that relationship works as well, and how you get to that end user and kind of ballpark typical offering, typical relationship?
How we got to BEAR and then how we got to.
Well, if it's Bayer or any other major company, you said you're now calling on the B2B, but the end user is actually, for example, a golf course. So how does that channel work?
Sure.
And then how the relationship from you to the end user as well?
So the go-to-market, and I'll back up a little bit in at the film this week. We started by going out after golf courses in individual farms. It's not sustainable. You can't get to them. The cell cycle is long, and plus from April through September, they don't want to talk to you anyhow because they're in the field. So we've gone to the B2B model, and really it's a combination of me personally going to, on the golf and turf side, the golf industry show we've been going to for 3 years, and then there's one in the Carolinas. Golf course superintendents has a great show in Myrtle Beach every November. So we go with a small trade show booth, and then we start telling people what we're up to. So through that, we got BEAR had come on about a year ago with a very small project. And then what they figured out is when they got under the hood with the data science work that we were doing, they have great biologists, chemists, plant teams, they have a channel, they have sales, but they don't have the data science to pull all that together, which we do. So in that case, we're teaming with the University of Tennessee's pathology team, and then the research team at BEAR to pull together a unique offering for the BEAR sales team to go out to their unique customers and say, not only does BEAR have great chemicals and great applications, but we'll provide you a value-add service that will be able to tell you at your location microclimate, here's your humidity, the surface temp, with the light reads, the daily light interval, soil moisture, the temp and soil resistivity. So this is a value add for them. So we're working with the global marketing team at BEAR and now 4 of their top reps to say, okay, let's get this pilot rolled out across 8 courses, and then that will follow to being able, for us, the opportunity is they have some 35,000 customers in just this space. We get 10,000 of them for $100 a month even, it's $1 million a month for us, that moves our needle quite a bit. Does that help that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Question in the front right here.
I've got sort of 2 questions, I'll ask them both. And you can-
Ask them one at a time, because when I answer the first one, sometimes I'm like, what was that?
So first question is, how do the communications actually work on this? When you get into agriculture, you've got areas where, unless you're yelling, it's hard to communicate.
The devices that we use in ground
Yeah.
communicate via cellular, which is why we're not in commodity row crop, because if you have 10,000 acres of corn, you don't have cell signal.
Got it, okay.
So we're more on the precision ag side for that piece. However, I'd also tell you, an awful lot of the work we do, we don't need to have the in-ground capability. Our data science is such, we can tell within 1 meter square what that soil moisture is in the ground without touching it.
Second question is, where I grew up, they have a lot of hot houses for spring, they're trying to get 2 crops in, like Niagara Peninsula, places like that. If everyone's getting busy to get in the field right now, are you thinking through how to go after hot houses for fall crop, where I would assume a hot house, or a greenhouse sort of accentuates drying out and that sort of stuff if you don't manage it properly?
Yes, so that whole market now is called CEA, Contained Environmental Architecture, Agriculture Fund. So that is a potential market for us, the CEA, and that would include cannabis, because a lot of that's grown indoors.
Yay. That's why we invested. Me and my investors were looking to get into cannabis, and this was kind of what we saw as the infrastructure of cannabis, kind of the Cisco of cannabis, if you will.
Yes, so,
Jim, you come up with something great.
I am an advertising grad, University of Florida. Sorry to interrupt, but that is why we invested.
so what we'll, now the growing season is more outdoors, so as the summer month, that's a market for us to tackle. What we try to be very careful of at our stage is to stay focused.
Yeah.
So that, that's a big market. People say, well, how about wineries? It's a great market. I'd love to go to Napa Valley for 2 weeks. That's not in our budget. So we're really trying to stay focused. On the communication side, there's a new protocol coming out called CAT-M1, which will then expand through the mesh network, if you would, the ability to have more devices in the ground that communicate further. We did try Comcast's LoRaWAN, it did not work for our application.
Yeah, I did a lot of work in public-private partnerships. Have you talked to or spoken to USDA about this?
We have, and one of the things, we bring in all the USDA soil information, because all the soil, all the soil in the U.S. is profiled. So when I said we can tell you what's in the ground here, it's based on the USDA having profiled all of that years ago, what is in the ground there. We've talked to them, that's where we need help with the grant writing, because they have specific programs, but they don't have funding if you don't go through a grant process.
I mean, I can see you being supplying information to them, but we kill 2 birds with 1 stone, and they can resell, or you can resell the information to farmers.
Yeah, we haven't gone down that path. We're doing it, we have conversations with the Carolina Farm Stewards Association, because they have similar ideas whereby our information can help their farmers. For example, you have to file a form, I'm not a farmer by trade, what you're growing and how much, revenue and all of that. So there's a form that has to be filled out. And farmers are really reluctant to do that for all of the privacy reasons. So if you're Carolina Farm Steward, you don't really know what everybody's growing because everybody's not reporting. So one of the thoughts they have is working a project with us whereby on our mobile app you have the ability to log in information to put input. So you can say, here's our input, we can create a form for you to fill out, and it automatically goes in. So that we've had conversations like that, but we've stayed on the commercial side more so because the USDA and such, the sales cycle for us in the is pretty long. They don't go so fast.
Carol, we have one in the back.
Carol had a
Carol,
question.
Carol, do you still have a question?
Yes, I have a question. Pretty much, who are your competitors, first of all? And there is one, we've done this research in Africa, you know what I'm saying? Maybe I'll share with you, because with bear and all that stuff, we had some farmers were having issues, what you're doing with piloting and all that stuff. But what we noticed, it was something to do with global, even though you do the soil analysis and all that stuff, some of the seedlings, you know what I'm saying, they will not heal to what they're supposed to be doing and all that stuff. So we had to take a step back and collect all the data for the farmers and all that stuff, you know what I'm saying, get all the data for the farmers, and then they had to modify some of the seedlings according to that, because we're having issues even the fertilizers, which Bear and some of these people were selling. Some of the areas, the yields was much higher than the others. But what I'm trying to figure out, there are some, who are your competitors? Because there are some farmers here who are already doing that here in the US, a bunch of them, you know what I'm saying, it's called farmers networking or something like that. They're already doing that, you know what I'm saying, in terms of what you're doing or everything and all that. There's an association which is already doing your same analysis, what you're doing is similar to that. They are the ones we help with.
Slide? Was that one of your slides?
Yeah, there was a competitor slide, but it was real small. It's hard for us to be able to.
Because these farmers have about over 30,000 small scale and all that stuff. It's a network and all that stuff. That's the ones we've helped us out in terms of it has to do with global warming too, and Bear is involved in some of this. Have you looked into those farmers too? They're doing similar things which you're doing right now.
We haven't. We have some interest from sub-Saharan Africa in the farming community, but we haven't really done much work internationally yet. So where our focus now is on the pathology in, for example, Bear crop science. If there was a project or a group that said, hey, we have some information and we're trying to figure out if it's, how elevation is affecting yields, we can certainly do that, but we haven't done any of that just yet.
What about these ones here in the US? There's a big networking for the farmers here in the US. It's over, I think over 40,000 members. It's $500 a month to be a member and all that stuff. And it's part of Bear and all that stuff. They're able to do what you're doing right now, collect all that data for them, you know. Have you looked at that?
I haven't.
I'll share with you.
I'll share with you. Here, and then we'll go with
Thanks, Carol.
You will.
second question here.
One other question. I'm very fascinated by your application.
I was happy to. And I have time. I don't need to finish at 10. We can stay as long as.
If in fact you're going into a segment where you're dealing with guys of sort of my vintage that may be skeptical of your results, have you thought of either with someone like Bear or in your grant writing, trying to engage a group like 4-H and seed them with your technology or application or access to your app so that they, as much younger people, can get their parents engaged, get sort of more experienced people, aged, engaged?
I fit in that more experience.
Yeah.
4-H is a great idea. What we are working on with Piedmont Community College in Castle County is to go into, they want to have an ag tech incubator or entrepreneurial center. They'd like for us, since we've agreed to be in that space, because what we think is all the students that are going to Piedmont Community College, they're studying ag tech, likely came from a farm. And they're likely in an age group that will be more open to data. And one of the research trends we've found is the largest growing sector of farmers, especially in the organic and sustainable side, are granddaughters of farmers who have aged out. The siblings have gone to college and went to the city to work, and the granddaughters don't have the experience. We talked to a tobacco farmer in Haswell, he can touch a tobacco leaf and tell you if it's 12, 13, or 14% moisture. Because the target is 13%, you get the most value for the crop. He could do that. He said, why do I need any data? I said, you're not my target customer. I can't, I'm likely not going to be able to do that with all this. So the granddaughters seem to be a place, and they are, what they're most interested in is understanding what they eat, where it came from. So that's a whole model that we really want to tap. 4-H would be a great one. We haven't done that.
Because they're still at home.
Yes.
In many cases, they're still in the community, and as you're writing your grant, one of the problems Bear's got is they're, about as sexy as wallpaper, so this allows them to go out to their community at 4-H with something new and interesting.
Okay, we have a
Can you make a
question.
note of 4-H on that?
4-H?
Yeah.
FFA might be an organization.
Actually, Jim, why don't you put it on that one, so it'll be,
FFA.
yeah, right there, on the other one, on the other board. Yep. Yep.
There's two questions. Hold on. There's a question in order over here.
Okay, so I've heard, whether it's true or not, that a kind of typical maintenance cost for a golf course is about $500,000. That's not really relevant, but what I didn't see a lot, and you talked about return on investment, is what are you saving? The Go Green is a good message and everything, but maybe it's just a suggestion more than anything else. It would seem that the dollars and cents angle would really need to play in as part of your sales strategy. So I'm just kind of encouraging you to really articulate that, and if you want to share what it is in terms of how much, what do you think you're going to save? Is it just less fertilizer cost, timing, additional revenue because they can play more? What kind of things are in?
We built a calculator. You corrected $500,000 is a typical maintenance budget. And what we're working towards is the white paper or the validation as we go through this season. I'll give you an example. At a golf course in South Carolina we started working with, they do 50 applications a year, and it's $2,000 an application. So $100,000 is their budget for chemicals for landfill. So what we're working with them on is based on this prescriptive capability of what you should do and when you should do it. Because what most golf course superintendents do is they write, all right, we're going to do it every 2 weeks whether it needs it or not. Because if they try to gauge it or fudge it, something goes wrong, then they lose their job. So it's like, why not just do it? So what we're working with them is to say, can you over the course of the year save 5 applications or 10?
Sure.
And so that's the one side for the ROI precisely. The other side you also mentioned is there's Environment Institute for Good in the Gulf space. And what we're also helping people track is how much pesticide and nitrates they put in the ground, because more and more municipalities are calling out golf courses to say, you're polluting the groundwater. So what we're able to do is help them say, here is exactly what science we're using, and we're only applying when we need to. And oh, by the way, here's the rate of absorption into the ground. And oh, by the way, it's not getting into the groundwater because it's completely absorbed 8 inches in. So that's more of a environmental sustainability angle. But that's a soft
We
save.
have 2 questions and then we're
I
done.
was just going to be on one comment on that one. With grants, you might want to explore what EPA might have potentially as well for that particular element, right? You're helping to reduce the pesticide runoff, so thereby water quality issue. But Tony, I think, was next.
Tom, first of all, thank you for traveling from Virginia and for a great presentation. And we're all aware that water is fast becoming the new oil, and so anything that can be done to conserve water consumption, especially in ag, is very helpful. I didn't pick it up. What is your business model? And is it a subscription or is it a contract per?
It's a straight SaaS model.
Okay.
We've tried a couple different things. It's so much per month. Our standard offering is paid annually in advance, which is the best way to do it for cash flow. And then on the sensor side, we had in the past been more focused on the sensors. That's probably 5% of our focus now. We believe sensors will be commodity in time, so we're not spending any energy there. And we can use anybody's sensors. So in our case, if you have a SaaS model, if you want to bring in other people's data, if it's easy, we just include that. If it's complicated API, there's an upcharge for that. And if you use our sensors, we raise the SaaS price, but we own the devices, you don't. So there's no warranty issues or anything like that. So it's a straight, our entry enterprise model is $10,000 a month, $120,000 a year, and you get up to 20 sensors, but it's 10 grand, you get 10 locations.
There's a question here.
Yeah, could this technology be applied, I know you're focusing on the agricultural side, but could it be applied to larger issues of land management, such as forest fire prevention and that sort of thing? Have you looked into developing a program for that yet, or is this something that may be down the line?
It's likely down the line, because one of our colleagues who was a Marine, who was in the fire brigade, with all the forest fires in California, we had a conversation with them, but it was more afterwards tracking what's going on in the ground post-fire, as opposed to preventing it, to understand whether the ground is recovering, et cetera. But that is a big way. So for example, with bear, we've had this conversation with BASF, we're talking about turf and golf management because it's a very precise market.
Right.
They both have forestry markets. They have crop science, so they have turf and ornamentals, so ornamentals rather. So that is a logical extension of what we're doing. One of the reasons we're raising money is to bring in the technology team to build some of those out.
Because obviously the largest land management organization in the country is the U.S. Forest Service, and they're the ones that are bearing the brunt of most of that cost.
Do you have a question? Yeah.
Sure. For some strange reason, I follow ag funding on a weekly basis, and it's amazing the amount of money that's being put into this space. Tons and tons, millions and millions and hundreds of millions of dollars monthly into this space. There's some very big people in this space. You said you weren't really focused on sensors. That's fine, I get that. Verizon has huge investments for their, you mentioned CAT-M1, for their whole 5G rollout. They're focusing on this area hugely. I don't know if you see them as a partner. They could be a very strong partner for you as well. Sort of the third piece is a lot of people doing the analytics in this space as well. In fact, SAS has a whole division focused on ag tech. These could be partners, these could be competitors. What is your sort of secret sauce or intellectual property that you might take to these companies to say, here's why you should work with us?
I'll take Verizon as an example.
Okay.
We talked to Verizon Venture Capital 2 weeks ago. They're interested in making an investment.
Good.
And the second piece of that, I'll just share it. So Verizon has had a very difficult time with their data science and their analytics. Mike Prorock personally did the project for them 2 years ago to sort that out, so they know his capability. So that's another in we have there. The question for Verizon is they've introduced us to some of their technology partnerships to use some of their technology, like this CAT-M1. They've got an offering that they're trying to bring forward. So that is a potential marketplace for us. And the differentiator that we have in the predictive side is our modeling. So the modeling that we're doing with the University of Tennessee, Cornell, Purdue, and Bayer is leading edge, if that's the right way to say it. So that is trade secret. So nobody else has that. So the ability to say the soil moisture right there, the soil temperature within 1 degree accuracy, SAS can't do that.
Okay, do we have time for one more?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay, Bill.
Hi, Tom. I've seen you present this a few times, but what just dawned on me as you talked this thing, first of all, you're getting better and better and better.
It's always great to see you, Bill. It's not what he said the first time.
We won't share the words we use. activities that you explained to us, I'm not sure are ongoing market research, or is this exactly the way you're gonna go to market? Because if it is, your cost of customer acquisition is gonna be through the roof, because it's so human intensive.
You mean the rounds of golf that he plays to convince?
But secondly, if after you've acquired a customer, I think you said it's $100 a month through subscriptions?
10,000.
A subscription, 10,000 a month?
10,000 customers. I just used an example, at 100 a month, 10,000 customers.
Whatever it is, just looking for reactions. Are you doing things to really keep the cost of customer support to a minimum? Little, if any, human intervention on your part by having necessary information available to your customers so you don't have to answer phone calls and chats and text messages. So cost of ownership and cost of customer service is what I'm driving at.
The reason we switched to the enterprise B2B model is for the cost of acquisition. We brought on 2 sales reps, didn't work. So they're no longer with us. So going in through a Bear, a Rainbird, a BASF, they have the channel set. So we're selling into Bear, so they've already have 8 courses identified that we ship product to. They're arriving yesterday and today. So our cost of acquisition is considerably lower because we're going into Bear and Carry, and it's Mike and I this juncture. And then the marketing team is picking it up. They're distributing it to their sales team, and the success factors are on them. So that's why that's more of a channel strategy. So, and same thing with Rainbird. They want to push this to their reps and have the reps put it into their channel. So then what we really need is a channel manager. To your point, I was asked a question recently, how expensive is it to bring on a new customer? The technology is such, it's built, because we're using Cloudera, we're using Mongo. The incremental technology lift is negligible. We'll be at 80–85% profit margin on the hosting side. What we will need is we'll need a channel manager to work with with Bear, Rainbird, because they have some overlap. And then what we're already doing as part of the Bear project is creating the online guides, how do we support them without having anybody do it? So it's online guides. We've published.
Okay, so you're on it.
What's that?
You're on the case.
Yeah, and we
Would you
can.
like your answer?
Yeah. Okay.
I know this will not be your best pitch or anything like this, is a good overview, but make sure you stress that this, how to acquire a customer, we kind of figured out, we go through channels. He's been asking the question kind of the back there. And how are you gonna support customers at a really low cost?
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Any additional questions before we wrap up?
All right, thank you everybody for coming. Next Wednesday, obviously back in downtown Durham on Blackwell. If you're interested in Wilmington, I'm having an event